back to working on the Goldwing today. As you can see, I already started taking it apart, got the carbs out, got some of the fairing off, side covers. It's looking like a mess right now, but she sat since 1996, so she needs some loving. We're gonna have the carbs redone and put those back. It did run, so we at least verified that, but it needs new tires because these are original tires at 6,400 miles. So there are some things that kind of deteriorated being in the garage for decades, man. We'll take a look at these in a minute and you'll kind of get to see what I'm looking at. The valve covers, the intake tubes, the tops of the carburetor slides are all kind of corroded. I think they had like a clear coat on them or something from the factory, and it just kind of deteriorated after time. So not only did that happen, the fork leg lowers are all ashy too. So the owner that I got it from already started on this side to sand it off, but as you can see, it's kind of nasty. So we're gonna try to do some loving on those today and see what we can do. See, he tried to like sand that one off, and I mean, it looks better, but it's not right. So I think we're gonna try to polish all this stuff. Well, I have the front end apart, you know, I'm gonna put tires on it and do the brakes and all that kind of good stuff. But today we're just gonna try to polish those fork legs and rebuild the forks. Because also, if you notice, those wet spots, that's fork oil, because these seals are blowed out. So you can buy all kinds of different fork seals. You can get OEM Honda ones. You can get cheapies off Amazon. But I always buy the all balls stuff. I don't know that it's any better, but I haven't had any go bad after I got them. So this is for a GL 1100, and it gives you 2 dust rings and 2 seals. So we'll go over how to pop those off. Maybe we'll try to polish these up. We'll put these new seals in so that my factory air ride can hold some air. We'll check back with you in a minute. All right, started off by taking my speedo cable and brake calipers off and kind of zip tying those back out of the way. On these fork legs, they have a little 10mm bolt right here. You can take it out and drain kind of whatever's fork fluid is left, so it's less messy when you tear it apart. So we're gonna go ahead and crack that loose and hope that the stuff just comes out. Sometimes you gotta undo the top a little bit to let some air in. Sometimes it comes shooting out like crazy, so we'll see how this goes. Oh yes, every time. All right, so just kind of sit that in there and just let it drain for a while. Set that plug to the side and don't lose it. So we'll just let that juice out. We'll do the same for the other side. Then we'll start taking the wheel and the fender off. Then we'll be pretty close. All right, so the fork fluid wasn't coming out very fast or at all. It kind of held up. And rather than pump the front end to get it out and make a bigger mess, on this air suspension, the anti-dive or whatever you want to call it, air ride, has a Schrader valve that you pump air into to fill the forks with air. If you take a valve stem remover tool and take that little valve stem out, as you can see, the fluid started coming out more. I don't know if it still is, but
no.
had to come over to a buddy's house to use the proper equipment. But as you see on the leg, we sanded it down with 220 grit, just kind of smoothing it out, and then went over it with 600 to kind of get some of the scratches off. So when we do polish it, it starts to come out pretty good. So we're gonna go over it with the brown rouge, and I think we'll change the wheels and then do it with the white compound, which is a little finer. You see how it comes out. I'm not trying to go for like ridiculously chrome looking, but I'm sure it'll look better than what it was. All right, guys, so yesterday we spent a couple hours sanding mostly and then polishing on the buffing wheel at my buddy's house. Thanks, Ed. Appreciate you. I mean, they're not perfect. We definitely could have spent more time polishing and sanding and getting them perfect, but as you saw them before, they weren't looking so hot, and this will look far better. So we've cleaned them out. We're gonna get ready to throw our new seals on and then show you how this goes back as far as reassembly. We're going to put a picture of the factory manual for 80 to 83 GL 1100 so that you can see how much fork fluid, in this case they use ATF, so it doesn't specify what kind, so we're just using whatever old automatic transmission fluid we've got. I think it's 8 ounces aside for these. So we're gonna pull the airline off of the front forks, and on top of it, it goes in like this. This side swivels, so you just get this guy going loose, and this guy will unthread, and it'll both unthread. Then you pull both ends out, and what we're gonna do is use kind of a syringe setup to put 8 ounces of ATF through the top after we get these legs back on. So let's get that done. All right, so we are gonna open our kit. First section, 2 seals, 2 dust caps. We're gonna take those out. 1 dust cap per side, 1 fork seal per side, and they're still stacked on here. How they were taken off. So you got your dust seal on the top, you got the locking retainer clip, you got a washer, then you got your fork seal, then you got these guys. So what we're gonna do, we'll start at the bottom, and we'll spread this guy a little bit. We might need a screwdriver for that. Let's see if we get this to stay on here. So we'll just take a small flathead, twist it, get this guy to go over that one, and that comes down with it. So we'll leave those right there because we got to use those again. So then we're going to come down to our fork seal, and we got to take this guy off too. So you just also, a lot of forks are the same on a lot of different bikes. They work the same way, so that's kind of cool. You can do one, you can kind of do any of them. So you pull your fork seal off. Pull your washer and your retaining clip off, sit those to the side. Pull your dust cap off, sit it to the side. Then we're gonna go in the reverse order. This has got some lube on it. You don't wanna just put it on there while dry. So easily work this guy up on here. Kind of get one side worked around. There, it slides nicely. Cool. So there's our dust cap. Then what do we have? We've got our washer and our retaining clip. Goes up next. Then our new fork seal. And what I like to do is take a little of this old oil, just like our oil filter if you're putting it in, and put some lube on that sucker. And it goes this side up. That's how the old one was. It came from the factory that way. So here we go. And that guy will hold that up. Then we'll go this guy and this one, and then this one. And these just kind of stretch out and pop up over there in this place. So there you go. And this one rides in your fork leg. So you may want to throw some grease or something on that one. We'll put him up in there too. And yeah, we'll do the other side, get them ready, and then we will come back and put the legs on. So again, we're gonna coat the little ring in there where all the good stuff sits. Make sure it's kind of lubed up for when we're putting these new things in. All right. So putting this back, this little guy goes on here, and that goes on the bottom of the fork leg, and the bolt runs up through it and goes into this guy. So put that up like that. We got all of our slider bushings and everything. There, and that guy fell off. So sometimes you can get them to sit in there nicely, right in the middle. All right, guys, so I tried to do it with it mounted on like I had it before and not take them out of the triple trees. It's 3 bolts, 4 bolts. It's not that hard to take it out. I don't know if these are shorter than like on Harleys or the bikes that I typically work on and can do it this way. It's a little more difficult because this guy, this slider bushing, has to go inside of a lip inside that fork leg. And in order to get it in there, you kind of gotta use a seal driver, or I just use a flathead screwdriver super carefully and poke it down in the groove inside this fork leg. So I did end up having to pull that one off to get it on, but you'll see what I'm saying here in a second. So that one stays in the groove and it's in there. But this guy here, okay, so that's in the bottom. So now you need to tuck that guy down in that groove, which I do it very carefully with a skinny flathead screwdriver. And then you'll probably want a seal driver, which you can get cheapy ones off Amazon, or Cycle Gear has some. I think that's where this came from. They're not much money, but it does make driving this seal in a whole lot easier, because essentially it's just a little slide hammer. And I'll show you how to use that here in a second. So first, I put something down, and then just kind of work around this guy, and don't nick your forks with it. Just kind of work it around until you feel it going down in the groove. I mean, you're probably better off using some kind of non-marring plastic tool or something, but this is what I have, and I've been doing it like this for a really long time, and it seems to be fine. So that's kind of how I do that. So let me get this in, and then we'll get back and we'll drive that seal in. All right, so once you get that guy walked all the way down in, and you let that guy go down, make sure it actually goes in how it's supposed to, which this one isn't wanting to. So grab another screwdriver and work that guy down. Should be sitting in there right. Okay, so once you get that guy in, then you're gonna bring your seal down smoothly. Don't jerk it down, and kind of get it started in there evenly. So to go down like that, then you take your little seal driver dealy, pull that guy around, get that one on there, match the sides up, and while holding that in, so it's just resting on the seal, bring this down. Of course, this doesn't. There we go. So you'll get it right on top of that seal, and you just kind of tap around down, and you'll feel when it's there. And maybe spin it around so it drives it down evenly. Like that, and you can always look in there to verify that it is below that little lip where this clip-in washer are going to ride. And then you take it off and let the washer fall down, and then work on putting the clip back into the thing and just make sure it clips into that groove. Then you just run your dust seal down. You're ready to put her back on. All right, so we've measured out 8 ounces of ATF per the manual for each side. Let me show you what I've got going on here. So the air valve is out of the top of the fork. The forks are all back together, the wheel's back on. I'm just gonna use this contraption to put it back in. This is just a big old syringe thing that you could buy off of Amazon. They come like that, you can get a bunch of them in a pack, pretty cheap. So that's what I use to put stuff in there. So I'm just gonna pour that back in, put the air lines back on, and she should be all good.